Hey everyone, welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm Bright Hawk, and together with Hollis Taylor, we bring you weekly astrology that's accessible, inclusive, and totally down to earth. Hollis is a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller who loves making the cosmos relatable. We're both passionate teachers who love answering your questions and helping you navigate life through the stars. Each week we start with a guided meditation to tune in to the planetary energies. Then we dive into the week's cosmic forecast, offer horoscopes for every sign, and always make time for your live questions. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, we create a welcoming space where everyone belongs. Our different perspectives and styles come together to give you a well-rounded cosmic experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, tune in, and explore what the universe has in store for us this week.
Hey, wow. Welcome everyone. Except now the image is over my face. There we go. Welcome everyone. I swear we'll get our stuff together eventually. Sorry, this is Hollis, and I am one of your hosts here today with the Astrology Forecast. We're so grateful to be back. I'm so glad that you're joining us today, even though we've missed a couple weeks. So I just want to acknowledge that. And this is Bright Hawk.
Hi there, I'm Bright Hawk. You can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com, and hopefully you're a subscriber on one of our channels, either Bright Hawk Productions or Divine Androgen, or is this come across on Rainbow Soulstrology, its own channel?
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Thanks for joining us.
On their Facebook channel. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're also broadcasting live in Discord. So if you happen to be a Discord person, we're also broadcasting live in there. We currently have Beth joining us in there. Welcome, Beth. We're glad you're here. And welcome to everyone else over like Chelsea on YouTube and Alyssa on Facebook and Regina. Welcome,
Thank
everyone.
You.
Welcome. All right. Frankly, I need to take a few deep breaths. Let's take this moment to ground and center.
Do you have the 7 settings that where they need to be?
This is funky because some people say that they can't hear it, but
if you'd be willing to let me know if you can hear the handpan. The invitation is to take a deep breath, begin to ground and center.
That's great, Alyssa. I'm so glad it sounds good. Good. Thanks. Hi, Stacy. As you center yourself in the here and now, I invite you to put your feet on the floor. Your seat. Just feel your seat, your bottom on the seat. And just imagine yourself laying back, lounging in a chair, outside under the night sky. And above you is the beautiful sky. The night sky with the stars that seem to go on forever. And I just invite you to just take that in and see how the stars go on and on forever. And as you're staring up at the stars, one very important constellation is highlighted for you. And that would be Aries. And as you comprehend and take in the planets in Aries right now, you recognize the urgency to move forward, the drive pushing you ahead to go, go, go. To get it done. You recognize the Mars energy within Aries that sometimes creates conflict, the push against, the push back. And how we learn from conflict. And to embrace that energy of the bright ideas, of the action going forward, and reaching for the best part of us that we can, so that we can navigate these times with patience, stillness, and calm. Almost as if laying there in the chair, the speed and the chaos of Aries, the quickness, the forward going, the conflict, it just whirls around you, not touching you, you're just feeling it push you ahead. And as you come back to your moment, to your seat, to your place, to your here and now, come back into the present. Feel your bottom on the seat. Feel yourself present in this here and now. Allow the music to bring you into the current moment. Stretch your fingers and toes. Open your eyes. And just come back into the here and now. Awesome. Welcome everyone. I hope you're tuning in today to this astrology forecast, and we're broadcasting it in as many places as possible. Welcome Cheryl and Michael and Samantha. Thanks for welcoming us back. Thanks Chelsea. And Nancy said, beautiful music. It reminds me of a crystal xylophone. Huh.
Very special. Those
That
are
I heard
very special.
Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, they're very special.
Like, do you tap the crystals or?
A matter of fact, I saw one on a video just last night. A woman who was doing a sound bath, and everybody was floating on air mattresses, and she was playing it with her hand.
A xylophone, like the thing where you,
but it's
like almost like a marimba. But
yeah, but it's usually a couple of feet tall. It's like this long, about that big. The ones that I've seen, and you can play it with your hand, and it creates this incredible vibe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think like how how you rub the top of the crystal glass. Did you ever do that?
Oh,
we always did.
You mean
that.
okay? You mean like you do in a singing bowl almost?
A singing bowl or a champagne flute. Good crystal. You can rub the top of it with just a little bit of moisture on your finger, and it'll create this amazing pitch.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So crystal xylophone, very special. Harp and hand drum together. Yeah, very nice. That would be very nice. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that we sort of jumped out on you guys for a couple of weeks. I did have every intention to record and to set them up to beat, but it just didn't happen, and it's unfortunate, but that's what happened.
We've been pretty consistent for a number of years, but every once in a while, life happens. And thank you for being here today. And what a day it is as Jupiter moves in
to Cancer.
But
not just happened today, but we should just kind of review what happened in the last couple of weeks, because it's been a pretty big shift, right? You guys, did you notice when Saturn moved into Aries? That was pretty intense. That was like earlier this week, like Monday or whatever, like last Monday.
It's a big month that way. Some really big shifts where all of us are going to feel it. Big planetary shifts where, Saturn moving out of Pisces, where it's been for the last 2.5 years. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And so,
it's going to dance back to it just a little bit. Just put its toe back in when it goes into retrograde, but we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, but just be aware that that Saturn did move into Aries, and Aries, it's spring energy. It's the go forward, get it done energy, but it's also the energy of like conflict, fighting. I thought it was interesting that Saturn moved into Aries and Donald Trump and Elon Musk started fighting.
Oh wow!
Pretty much like at the exact same time. Much like at the same day, and I was like, "Oh,
here we go.
This is funny."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." Unfortunately, Donald Trump just kind of falls through all of the energies of astrology. Like he just follows them all. And I don't think he has any control. And so what we're going to find out is that there's some pretty intense movements for him this week that we cannot ignore. But
we should talk about this week and what it means to you.
Barbara said, I've felt better than I have in a long time until PMS reared its ugly head. I'm sorry, Barbara. You know what? You probably have like Pisces placements or something. Saturn moved out of there. You probably felt a little bit better. And then, doesn't mean you get away with not experiencing that, right? Oh, Cheryl said everyone was asking and I had no clue. We couldn't wait for you two to come and tell us what was going on. Okay, right? And then Samantha said, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling everything is up in the air and I don't know how to get anything down. Okay, Samantha, that could take a little while because Saturn's going to be in Aries for a couple of years. And so some of those things might take a little time for you to they just might take time for you to work through. And I think that that's just kind of part of the transit, is learning how to manage these things and how to work through them, right? Okay. And some things might come to fruition especially as today, as Jupiter moves into Cancer, like some things might be waiting to happen. It depends on your chart. Alyssa noticed it too. It cracked her up, Trump and Elon. In no time after Saturn shifted. Yeah, it was like within the same day, right? Yeah, Chelsea, it probably will be good. Remember, the universe is always live, is always kind and loving, and Nadia Shaw says that, but I also feel like we don't suffer for nothing. So even if something bad is happening, it's probably going to lead you to good eventually, right? So like even when you're breaking up and ending that terrible relationship, 6 months later, you're kind of happy you did, right? Okay. So it sounds like Michael's had similar experiences. Yeah, Barbara said they've had massive bad things happen to their family and friends. That's probably because, Barbara, because of the shifts from Saturn out of Pisces into Aries. And the other thing is that if you don't listen to Saturn and then it makes a big shift like that, it often will deliver any karma it owes to you. It usually warns you, and then people don't listen or don't follow like their gut or their feeling. And then they're later going, oh man, I should have, right? Okay. They know what they should have done. All right. So, let me add this to this. So this is for this week. It will start today, but I just wanted to address the Saturn in Aries. That's like the biggest thing that's happened. There's been some other transits and stuff that might have caused some discern for you, some discourse for you. But mostly it's probably been, wow, Alyssa. Alyssa said the last 2 years of my life have been the absolute worst 2 years of my life. The last 20 months specifically. Wow. Wow, Alyssa. Well, I hope that it gets better from here.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Sarah always says, it can only go up from here.
Yeah.
So that's a little advice from Sarah, right? Nancy Ray say I have 28-degree Pisces rising with Saturn in direct opposition to my need. Definitely feeling the changes. I bet you are. And Nancy Ray, you're not done yet, because Saturn's going to dip back into Pisces and touch your 28-degree Saturn and Pisces. It's gonna dip back in there. So I'm just gonna say it's gonna dip back into Pisces. So you're probably gonna have a final showdown, and then hopefully things will be changing. Yeah, Alyssa, just trust that it's going to improve and stay positive. It will. So let's get on with the forecast and take a look.
These are huge times that we're living in. I just want to say that if it feels intense, it's because it is. It's not your imagination. And we're all in this together, which is part of what I love about astrology. That, believe it or not, we all signed up for these times to incarnate during these times. And these are huge times. When we talk about these changes of Saturn moving into Aries, and the last time these things happened, the fact that it involved times of real revolution, absolute revolution. no matter what, change is happening and we're going to get through it. But it means that we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about this week. And today, no less.
Bright Hog, I'm counting on that you've checked the news. Has something happened in California really loud with the Patriots there? Like, are people really fighting right now?
Well, I've only just briefly looked at headlines, and what I saw was that Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, that the state of California was suing the Trump administration and
For ICE.
because of the overreach of and federalizing of troops inappropriately and overreach. And so I know there's a member of Congress who was also saying it was their fault, Trump and ICE administration behavior that was in escalating things. So I don't know where it is now.
Okay, and someone else I talked to today in a reading earlier. I haven't had a whole lot of time to look at the headlines.
It's scary.
But the reason I'm saying something is because today Mercury and Jupiter, Mercury was in Cancer yesterday and the day before. It's been in there for 2 days, I think. And then Jupiter just followed it in today. And they're kind of traveling together, and it's really loud, okay? Because anytime Jupiter is around anything, good or bad, it's going to make it bad. It's going to make it big, and really loud, okay? And it's in a square to Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. And Saturn has a lot to do with the system, and Neptune has a lot to do with like visions going forward and things like that. And with Mercury and Jupiter being in Cancer, this is a big patriotic thing. This is going to fuel patriotism, and not necessarily just from the conservatives. It could seriously pull up people's energy of feeling like they have to do something about the current situation, particularly because Mercury's there and Jupiter's there and they're on top of each other. And my friend from California that I did a reading with today said that there were riots in San Francisco and LA.
Oh, wow.
So, and she's very concerned because she has family and friends there, okay? And so what I'm saying is that also, you know, Jupiter and Mercury also rule home. They rule family. Now, it could, because it's Jupiter, it makes me feel like it's trying to do something good. Like what needs to be said will be said. Maybe it needs to be said. Maybe, you know, maybe the Trump administration needs to get the clue that a whole bunch of people are not happy with what they're doing. Okay. And with that Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, it could easily erupt into conflict, and trying to resolve that could take a few days. And that's what I was looking at with that, because Mercury and Jupiter in Cancer square to Saturn and Neptune just feels messy. It feels hard because you have really strong planets in really strong signs, and Cancer's a water sign. And it's patriotic. It's about your home. It's about how you feel about your home. And sometimes in Cancer, people don't recognize exactly what they're feeling, but they definitely have that hard shell going on. And with Aries, it's like the only way to solve this is, okay? And that could be difficult. And that was like the biggest thing that I really seen today. I thought it was interesting that this morning, like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Mountain time, just about 9 a.m. was a void of course moon. And I thought, well, I'm glad we had that a little bit this morning, but this Jupiter with Mercury moving into a square with Saturn, I just feel like that's the riots right now that you're seeing.
Yeah, it's a little a little unnerving. And of course, we're amplifying it with the full moon in Sagittarius on Wednesday. So,
yeah, I
a
noted
lot of fire in the chart. A lot of fire.
I noted that full moon.
With Mars and Leo, you've got all that Aries energy, and now you throw in a full moon in Sag. I'm like, whew.
So the other thing that I mentioned a little bit in a couple days, actually, it's like Tuesday. It's actually Wednesday, Thursday. I think it's actually Thursday, Friday. Is that Mars is approaching Donald Trump's Mars on his ascendant.
Wow.
It will be in an exact conjunction in a couple days.
Wow.
And I think that's pretty significant for me to mention, even though I try to stay focused on our personal lives. But I can't ignore that. I feel like I have to say it. I've seen it coming for the last couple of weeks and been a little concerned about it because, you know, he's not exactly the most peaceful guy in the world. Although he'd like to get a Nobel Peace but he's hilarious. But that Mars on the ascendant there, it's approaching his ascendant, and that I'm glad that it's in a trine to Chiron. See how Mars is in a trine to Chiron, but it's going to move into 27, 28 degrees and start moving away from that trine. It will. It's just a little bit intense. That's all. And with the I'm glad that Mars is trying Chiron because that could bring healing. It could mean that he takes action. Maybe he gets afraid of all the riots and all the people saying that they want to fire him. Maybe he makes a different change. Maybe he chooses something different. There is a level of tension building on Tuesday, I think. Now Mercury's in conjunct the Pluto, which I feel like doesn't help us in being able to talk about what needs to change or what we need in our, in our transformation here, in what's going on in the world. I feel like that's not really helping. And then there's this level of tension building up to the full moon, which is going to happen at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So, and of course, this is now in the middle of the night. That full moon, just as it goes full, is going to go void of course. So I thought that was interesting that it goes void of course, and it is void of course until later in the day that day, pretty much all day. And I thought that was interesting because
well, we should break down some terms here.
Okay.
So we're talking about squares. Squares are a really challenging aspect, that they're a point of tension, versus a trine, which is a blessing. It means easy, flowy energy. You don't even realize how blessed you are. You're just getting green lights, man. So when we talk about these squares, what we're talking about is some really big tension, because Jupiter is a big planet, has big sway, and it's conjunct Mercury, which is all about the mind and communication and technology, and all of it sitting at the beginning of Cancer, which is the house. It's all about home. And in this case, it can easily get translated into loyalty, what you're loyal to, not just your home, but your country. So it just sort of amps up people's sense of righteousness, I'm afraid to say. You have the sun in Gemini, which is an air sign. You have Cancer as a water sign. It's ironic that Cancer is a water sign, because they're probably, while they're very intuitive and psychic, they're not very emotionally intelligent about themselves and picking up on what's going on. They have great gut instincts.
Yeah.
But they're not the counselors.
For sure not.
And
Sometimes they can be. They're real good at other people's emotions.
yeah, but they're great family people. They're very smart usually. There's definitely an aspect to cancers that can be real problem solvers. Anyhow, what we really want to see is what happens as well, because you have that opposition square with Pluto, which has just recently stepped into Aquarius, and that just reeks of transformation, really big transformation. And when Pluto's involved, it can be, and we've seen it, earthquakes, floods, volcanoes. We have a lot of all of that going around the planet. So there's a lot building in this chart, and you throw in a full moon and the tension of a fiery Sagittarius full moon. Now the moon loves to be full in Sagittarius. It's a party in Sag. And of course, Sag's ruler, the moon, is going to be answering to Jupiter, conjunct Mercury in Cancer. So, all of these things are part of what is making the flavor of the sauce this week, for sure.
I feel like with the moon opposite the sun like that, because, it's a full moon, but it creates that energy of feeling kind of overwhelmed. So that overwhelming feeling might feel like it's in the background on Tuesday, but I think by Tuesday night, by the time the void of course moon ends, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Probably explode at that point.
The void of course moon is probably going to be everybody's saving grace.
Probably
going into Wednesday, because Tuesday's high tension.
Yeah, and so Wednesday, and the great thing is that grand trine in fire, and I seen that, and I was like, oh, thank God, because we need something to balance out all this intense energy with the void of course moon all day, but ending at 8 p.m. and then the full moon starting, sort of kicking off the 11th Wednesday. And the thing is that you can see that grand trine is there, but then also the moon and the sun is squaring the nodes. So the full moon will definitely square the nodes. There will be a big choice moment, which doesn't help me feel particularly calm, because I know that Mars is approaching Donald Trump's Mars.
Wow.
So because squares require a choice, and so I'm just letting you guys know that there could be some more conflict in our country or with other countries, and he could definitely make some decisions that are more conflict. There could be more conflict with Elon or something or someone or something else, and I would also be aware that for your own personal energy, this is, Wednesday, you might have a hard time getting things to manifest. You might have a hard time getting it to go because you're going to be trying to, because you got this grand trine in fire. So you're trying to transform and change things, but it might be messy until that night. Or not necessarily messy, or just sort of stuck or stalled, right? You might feel a little stalled until about 8 Mountain Time that night. So, that's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And then you probably will feel like, oh, okay, finally, it's
Thursday
going
will
forward.
Feel different, I assure you.
Yeah, so then once we get to Thursday, the energy will shift very quickly. And it will instead of the tension building, whatever was going to happen has happened now. And at this point, although the moon is opposite Mercury, so I feel like that in your personal life, that's probably going to be you may have a hard time voicing your emotions. You might just have a hard time. You might need to go take a break, go for a walk and think about how you're feeling is my biggest suggestion on Thursday. Chiron is in a trine to Mars. So taking any kind of physical action, like taking a walk or exercising or anything like that, would help you think through like the cleanest way to do this, or the way to heal this, the way to manage this, because Mars is sometimes just like pow, it doesn't think, it just punches. Okay. And we all know that's not the best way to resolve our issues. And if you happen to have anything at about the first 0 degrees of Cancer, Jupiter's on it, so it could be some good luck for you. And that could be really pleasant. So people with Cancer placements might get a gift. You might still have some other struggles, or you might be watching your friends or loved ones struggle around you, but that Cancer, that Jupiter in Cancer, could deliver a gift to you. But I feel like there's a lot of energy shifts on this day. The energy itself will shift. Jupiter continues to be in a square to Saturn. And so that's going to be more of like the patriotism and the and asking you, what do you want your home to be like? Do you want your home to be like this? Do you want your country to be like this? Do you want your house to feel like that? Do you want your family to feel like this? And that's where Jupiter is. Jupiter is going to ask you about your opinions and your belief systems, because that's what Jupiter is. And it also tends to be a little bit on the spiritual side, mostly because it taps into your belief systems. But it does often bring good luck, and it is moving direct. So I'm going to suspect that for a lot of people, they're going to have great things happen to them while watching some not so great things happening in the news. Like, I feel like it's going to be like kind of both at the same time. Okay. So you could have some great things happening to you. You could also be struggling. It will depend on what do you have in those early degrees of Aries, and what do you have in the early degrees of Cancer, because that will also, if anything, that will also make a huge difference onto things.
And of course, those are cardinal world points too. So that's also why we're looking at world news heavily this week, because those points, Aries, the signs that begin the seasons, of course. And so Aries for the spring, and of course Cancer for the summer, and Libra for the fall, and Capricorn for the winter. You have the moon in Capricorn. You have all the cardinal points are all lit up, basically, with the exception of Libra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that could we could be seeing more and more things on the world stage in this coming week, and this is the day where Mars is pretty much on Trump's ascendant, and Uranus is in a square to it, and Uranus is at late degrees Taurus. So that's that stubbornness, not wanting to change, not wanting to give in.
This is why, if you're ever dealing with the Taurus, you want to convince them the change is for their best interest. Once they decide,
then you better get out of the way.
Once they decide, get out of the bull's way, they will run you over. But they are usually the last one to make the decision. Like, okay.
And I think I think with Taurus, they just need to see the way and then decide. And I think with the Taurus, the Uranus and Taurus energy has a lot to do with like progress and forward movement and transgender and LGBTQ topics, and how we should handle our connections to each other, and a lot of really important things. And the sun is squaring the nodes at that time. Mars is in a square to Uranus, so I don't know what will be going on there in that president's seat. but I'm not confident that he'll be able to handle that energy. That could be quite difficult and very intense. And with it in a square like that, Mars in a square like that, it is solvable. Hopefully we can pray that he finds the solution.
Oh, and by the way, I don't think we've explained what a void of course moon is. Just so if you haven't listened to us before, the void of course moon is the in between when the moon and the moon moves every 2.5 days, right? So it's going around the zodiac, and of course it takes a month for it to go around once, right? A moon month. And of course, when there's that moment when it switches, there's this beat that it takes, and it's when the energy of the moon is at its weakest, which means sometimes you can feel like a wet blanket during a void of course moon. You just have no mojo. Lots of people look at it so they know, don't be trying to launch things during a void of course moon. Don't be trying to make something happen, because you'll be like, why won't this go? And it's sometimes worth paying attention to the void of course moon. So what it also means is that it's a no drama zone, because the moon is really quiet. It's switching from sign to sign. And so the void means maybe you have somebody who you have to have a conversation with who is always dramatic and you dread it. You can use the void of course moon to have a conversation that's much less dramatic if that's your goal. And so it pays to know about it. And I love to hear from folks that are noticing, yeah, I paid attention and it made a difference. So this morning I took a little extra time for me to do yoga or whatever. Take time to do self-care during the void of course moon. It's a great time to go for a walk or be quiet, take a nap, take a bath, whatever feels good for you, whatever nurtures your soul, a walk in the woods, a swing in the hammock, whatever it is. That can really be the great way to work with the void and not be frustrated. Why can't I go? Because you're trying to launch at the wrong time.
Yeah. Well, Barbara, you might be okay. Like I said, Jupiter is going into Cancer, and if you have strong Cancer placements, it's about to give you a gift. So that might be what's going on for you, Barbara. I wouldn't down it. I would just take the good with the good. And Cheryl did say that they did send the National Guard into Los Angeles. It is a showdown right now. And thanks, Barbara. We appreciate that from our Aussie friends. We totally agree. Most of us do. Yeah, Chelsea, you might want to look. There's a lot of shifts going on this year. I don't know, the last time you had a reading with me, I think might have been at least a few months ago, might be longer, but you probably want to check in at least twice a year, I would say.
And if you're feeling it, you know it, it's time to check, because especially this month, next month, gosh, through this year, there's just a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to surf it for you, what it does it mean for you is really important.
Yeah. And Samantha said that there's many protests in San Diego. Cheryl said,
wow,
I grew up with riots in Albuquerque and DC. This is scary, and sending so much love.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Cheryl. What does that mean? Not sure what you're asking, but tell me. Yes, that's right, Barbara. Mm-hmm. I would agree. Well, Barbara said, I think he's above. I think he thinks he's above anything, referring to Donald Trump, and everything. He's not scared because he thinks he is always right, and that is terrifying. I agree. And I'm sorry, Melissa, we had some hiccups and life happens. We were traveling.
Thanks for noticing.
Samantha, what will be important during this time in order to hear your guides is to find any moment you can, even if you're running fast and you're doing a lot of stuff and there's a lot going down, just try to find, even if you just are in the bathroom, take a few deep breaths and get centered with yourself in the bathtub, in the shower, on the toilet, while you're driving, whatever it is. Just take 5 minutes and just ask the divine and just say, is there anything I need to know right now? Is there anything I need to know right now? Okay. And so that hopefully will help. Yeah, they just mobilized 500 Marines. Yeah, Cheryl. Yeah, I'm just going to say this is a very intense week for our country. I have not looked at the United States astrology chart yet. Yeah, so, okay, so what it means is, let's think about it for a minute. So he has Mars on the ascendant, okay? And when you have Mars on the ascendant, Bright Hawk has Mars on the ascendant, but her Mars is in Virgo. So it tends to be like, she can get mad, but it doesn't last very long. She grounds it out pretty quickly because Virgo is grounded, right? Now, fire, on the other hand, tends to be like, rah! Okay? And when you add Mars to fire, it's like throwing fuel on the fire. And so what you should know is Donald Trump is a Leo rising, and Mars is on his ascendant. He was born that way. So now most people, as they get older, prefacing it with most, learn to tame that Mars. Bright Hawk doesn't go around doing the things that he does. Okay. like she doesn't, like, she just wouldn't. She would be embarrassed, especially with that Virgo rising, right? Like, she would be embarrassed to behave the way he does. Okay. So, and probably other people with Mars and Leo on their ascendant would probably also be embarrassed. But remember that we are always expressing from either the light or the shadow or something in between, okay? Or some sort of range in that. And he tends to function mostly in shadow because he spends a lot of time doing God knows what drugs and is not a healthy person up here, okay? So when you're struggling up here, your behavior out here tends to be shadowy, okay? And his chart shows that in his shadow, on his worst of days, he will be manipulative, lying, two-faced. He will not follow through. He will regularly put his foot in his mouth. He will regularly say things that screw it up. Okay? So that's what his astrology chart says. And I don't need to go through the details of it. But Mars is on that ascendant. So he leads with Mars. So that means he leads with this, I'm going to kick your ass. Okay?
Because Mars in Leo, just to be clear, Leo in its purity is a leader. It shows integrity. But in its shadow, it's arrogant, aggressive. In its light, it's noble. In its shadow, it's manipulative and ugly, but the thing about Leo is one of those people want to do things for Leos. Leos have a magnetism to them that people are attracted to.
Good or bad.
Or repelled by, right? Some people are going to see him as the greatest thing, and other people are going to be disgusted by somebody who could be so arrogant and narcissistic, et cetera, et cetera. So that's part of his core personality, that rising sign. Remember, we're trying to talk about astrology and learn from astrology, and your rising sign, especially as we get older.
Rising or ascendant are the same thing.
Yeah, becomes stronger and stronger in who you are more likely to express yourself as than your sun sign when you were born. So our rising sign is really important. And to have Mars transiting on top of your Mars is combustion.
I remember you struggled with it.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I remember you struggling with it, and we figured out that Mars was on your ascendant, and you took some extra space to yourself. You
More
spent some
walks in
time.
the woods.
I think you were chopping wood.
I did a lot of wood. I cut a lot of wood, hauled a lot of wood.
But the problem is that I'm not sure. I don't have confidence that Donald Trump is that emotionally intelligent, right?
I'm pretty
And-
sure he's not chopping wood and carrying water. I'm pretty sure, but
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, like he's
that's
not
my life,
expressing
you
it
know?
that way. He's not trying to work it out in other ways. He's just going to bat. Okay, that's what he's going to do. And with Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, and he doesn't have any other Leo placements, by the way. That's it.
Wow.
He's a Gemini. Okay, and so he has lots of Gemini placements though.
And Gemini again.
And Uranus is about to enter Gemini, and that could be a hell of a awakening for him when that happens the 4th of July.
4th of
I'm
July,
not kidding. It's actually
Uranus
technically the
enters.
7th of July, but with Uranus, it's not going to
Oh,
matter.
my.
I'm just saying.
And
Okay.
isn't he doing some freaking parade or some army
Yeah,
military
I
parade
don't,
on
for
his
his birthday,
or
which I
something?
don't even know when that is.
Well, he's like really close to summer solstice.
Oh, okay. Well, no one wants to go to that, but yeah, that could
No,
probably
they're
end up
spending a
being that would I would have to
ridiculous
look up
sum of
and see
money.
what day that is, and then it would probably be very expensive. It would probably be quite a showdown. Now, here's the thing. So there's a couple other questions. So someone asked, what was I referring to in Donald Trump's chart? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that he's about to have a Mars transit on his ascendant.
Mhm.
And if you don't trust him, I'm with you. Okay. And yes, Melissa. So when Donald Trump was sworn in, Pluto was at the top of the chart with the sun in Aquarius. Now, when the people that started the United States, the founding fathers, started doing, when I don't even think they started doing it at the beginning of the United States, like they didn't start doing the swear in until like the 3rd or 4th president or something. And so anyway,
the fact that it became January 20th.
Yeah, that it became January 20th,
Yeah.
and it was 12 noon that they do it.
Yeah, that was, I think it happened in the mid 1800s when they
Okay.
decided that, because before that, it was taking too long. There was like 6 months or something.
Well, here's an interesting fact about that. They based it
No, I
on the
know.
sun being in
I know.
the
top of Capricorn.
in Aquarius,
G-
right at the
right
top.
at the moment of
Mhm.
it's switching from Capricorn into Aquarius.
Yeah, because Aquarius is we the people. Okay. So at the time of Donald, now that just doesn't always happen, but this time when Donald Trump got sworn in, he was sworn in with the sun at the top of the chart with Pluto on top of it. The two were at the same exact degree, which is
Transformation.
also, I think it's also a world point.
Yes.
And it says what that also means is he's not going to finish his term. It's probably not going to. Almost every like mundane astrologer has pretty much said, even Bashar said that Donald Trump is not going to finish his term. He'll probably be impeached, or he might have a health problem. I wouldn't say no to either of those things in my predictions. I think he should get fired. I think that would give a lot of us some satisfaction. I think
Oh my God.
literally someone should say, "You're fired." Hopefully it will be a comedian and we can all laugh, okay? And it will be over. That's how I'm seeing this ending. Okay, guys? Now, Cheryl, you're saying you have Mars and Leo, but I know it's not on your ascendant because you're not a Leo rising. And the difference between it being on your ascendant and not in your ascendant is like 20 miles, because whatever's on your ascendant is how you express. Remember, Uranus is on my ascendant, so I do everything weird. Mars is on Brighthawk's ascendant, so she is off
Out of the gate fast.
She is out and off for the races. Thank goodness I have some placements that help keep up. Okay, so that's what's happening. Yes, Melissa, he is very good with distraction. He has a stellium in Gemini. that really indicates that.
And again, what that means is stellium, 3 or more planets in one sign. And what are the qualities of Gemini? The light qualities of Gemini are great at networking, great thinkers, great putting people ideas and stuff together, like really good producers or party hosts or meeting planners or, bringing it all ambassadors. These are the bright sides of Gemini. The shadow side of Gemini is the twins. It's two-faced. So they're very mutable with the truth. They could tell it
They
a
have different
variety of
versions.
different ways and
Mhm.
still feel okay about that.
Mhm.
Gemini could be on the manipulative side with the truth and with, how things are going
And how they present to people.
and how they play it, so
especially for him, because his is
and he's such mobster type,
and he has 4 planets in the 10th house, which is the house of career. So he is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, destroying the country. That's what he's supposed to do. Okay, so yes, but Barbara, that explains why some people are blinded by his bad side. Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm,
exactly.
mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Nancy's saying, I agree. I more identify with my Pisces rising now than my Leo sun, moon, and Pluto now. Exactly.
Yes.
It's such a weird
Yes.
thing. We kind of Christopher Renstrom talks about it. He has a book about it.
Yeah.
Where you kind of like, I notice only because I do a lot of children's astrology charts and I work with those children. Like I raised my son by astrology. I'm helping to support my grandchildren through astrology now. And I've also worked with other kids and seen their astrology chart. It was so funny. My grandson at camp met another little kid that was just like him, which is like, I don't know, we found 2 needles in the haystack. I mean, they're very smart, and they both knew astrology. He knew Western astrology. She knew Chinese astrology. Their birthday was, I think it was 2 weeks apart. And they were both like Capricorns. And they were just like, I'm a Capricorn. And these are 7-year-olds. 7. Yes, 7. And they are going on about being Capricorns. And this is an example of how, like, when they're kids, the sun sign really comes out, right? But my grandson is a Virgo rising. And every now and again, as he matures, you start to see that Virgo rising. And thank God, we might actually see it in my granddaughter too. When she is feeling very mature, it's a Virgo rising that we see, a little bit anal. She gets everything done on time. She wants to be good. She's, pretty organized, and and he is following suit. So I feel like by the time we really get to our Saturn returns, which is 30 years old, then we're expressing in our
Definitely
in our rising. And I know that was true for me because I didn't even realize I was queer until then. And that's where my queerness is in my rising sign.
And this is why we always say, when you're looking at astrology as just sun horoscopes in the newspaper or something, you're really kind of missing such huge things. And especially like if you're in the last degrees of a sign, the horoscopes in the newspaper, they really can almost be confusing. It's almost better to read the one that follows if you're in those late degrees. Like, so I'm a Sagittarius, but I'm 29 degrees. So I read Capricorn too, because it'll make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that we really hope that you will spend time to, we have guides and things available through Divine Androgen to help you understand your sun, your moon, your rising. What are we talking about? Why is it important?
Yeah, if you go to my website, divineandrogen.com, and go to /shop-2, it's a digital shop. I have a couple of items in there. I'm working on some other items. There's currently a medium's guide, a spirit guide in there where you can kind of like learn how to meet your spirit guides. And then there's another one about how to how to read basic astrology. There's also a huge class that Bright Hawk and I put together that's sort of Masterclass 101.
It's a
And
5-part.
yeah, it's like got like 5 1-hour videos, and it really helps you break down. And either way, no matter which one you get, all or want just one of them, you get 50% off. Regardless of which one you get. And
Because we love you.
if you're watching this, I only show this code when I'm live. So that's the only time you're going to see it, is if you're rewatching the live, okay. But you're only going to see it in my lives. So that's the only time. And it's just live 50. So if you go to my website, it's divineandrogen.com. I see you in there, Carrie, in Discord. So I'm just going to put my my website here in the chat. I'm so glad that you're listening in over there on Discord, Carrie. Anyway, so just, check it out. I think astrology can be incredibly helpful to guide your life. Okay. Barbara said my youngest daughter's birthday is January 20th. Awesome. So Capricorn, not quite. No.
She's a Capricorn Aquarius.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say
On the
Capricorn
cusp.
Aquarius. Yeah.
So, sometimes it'll slide around.
Oh, Melissa was like, I didn't even realize there was significance to the date. You must be talking about the swear-in thing.
Yeah.
Actually, the people that did it in the 1800s based it on astrology.
Yeah.
They actually did it on purpose on that day.
Yeah.
To bridge the gap between the system, which is represented by Capricorn, and we, the people, which is Aquarius.
Yeah.
And it was intentional because back in the 1800s, astrology, anyone with a decent college education knew how to read astrology.
Yeah.
Did you know
astrologers and
Yeah.
astronomers in the 1700s were part and parcel, but they
doctors that came with their MD,
Yeah.
they had to read
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And anyone with a decent education knew how to read astrology charts. Okay. So, and a lot of them knew how to draw them. Alyssa said, so if he didn't have a Mars on his ascendant, he would lead more with his light side. Not necessarily, Alyssa, because Bright Hawk has hers and she leads with her light most accurately.
So Mars, the challenge of Mars is it's the god of war, so it can be aggressive, but what it can also be is action oriented. It doesn't have to come out aggressively, but it means that you want to get it done. Like Hollis's son, James, has Mars on his ascendant.
It's in Cancer, though.
And he knows he moves fast, sometimes too fast for other people, but he gets stuff done. There might be a little bit of breaking, but there is definitely
might break it, but he got it done.
Productivity, for sure. So that's what that means.
So when Mars takes off, you tend to go too fast at things. And then sometimes it's too fast to punch back or too fast to be reactive. So what makes him reactive like that, Alyssa, is the human condition we all know today as trauma. So the way he grew up, he was severely abused by his father, and his father was clearly a narcissist. And now he's a narcissist. Narcissism is usually inherited, and not always. Like, it doesn't mean you always get it if you had a narcissistic parent. If you become aware that your parent was narcissistic, you're probably not going to repeat those behaviors, okay? Or hopefully not. But some people are not aware, and if you notice, a lot of times what he's doing is playing out the trauma of his relationship with his father. So really what's making him behave from his shadow side is not the placement of his chart, but instead the placement of his heart. Okay. So if you can remember that, and that is true for everyone. So I can look at somebody's chart and say, well, and a lot of times I'll do this. If you come to me like with a synastry and you say, is this guy any good? I'm dating this guy. I want to know if he's good. I'm going to ask you, well, is he emotionally aware? Has he been working on himself? Has he been to therapy? These are all free will choices. And so if he has, then he's going to start to, or is expressing his chart in the light. If he hasn't done any mental health work, and he's just dug in deeper and deeper, then he's going to be expressing in the shadow. he's going to be expressing mundane. And that's not always the greatest. Okay? So, exactly, Melissa. Just wait. It's coming. Yeah, I hope we get justice for Jackson, also come together to focus on protecting our people. The transits give me hope that our voices will be heard. It is happening. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go down, but it's definitely happening. Me neither, Christy. I totally get it.
Oh man.
We all get
Word.
it. I think
Thank
we
you for
all
saying
get
it.
it. Yeah. It is terrifying. Barbara said her daughter, who is a Capricorn Aquarius,
Similar.
cusp,
Yeah.
she sees me writing down your prediction and asked me to write hers too. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay.
That's cute.
Yeah, there's so much, Melissa. Astrology is such a deep topic. And when you start to realize the history and the depth and where you can go with it, whoo, boy, it's huge. And I'm just glad I love to learn.
Yeah. Right?
Oh, she's 10.
Oh my God. She's so cute.
Oh my God. Now I want to
That's
introduce
awesome.
her to my grandson and his little friend, and they could just have a big old Capricorn aquarium party. Yeah, I'm interested in what her chart will be like, Cheryl. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Such a time to choose to be here. Man.
Hi, Tracy. I don't know what you're talking about. We've been friends for a while. I always read Aries too, since it's intercepted in my first house, even though I am Pisces rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just know, I would just know, because it's probably a mixture of the energies.
Yeah.
And then Alyssa says, I hate that I have a Gemini moon and a Leo rising placement in my big three like him. But okay. But with that being said, beings that I know that there are not so great qualities to those signs that definitely don't align with my core values, Pisces sun, I make damn sure to watch my actions, thought processes, and really try to feed the better qualities. As I age, I see more of my Leo rising coming out, so trying to stay aware. But your Leo rising but Leo has lots of great,
noble
frankly,
qualities.
Kamala Harris is a Leo rising. Did you know that? Kamala Harris is also a Leo rising.
Leo risings definitely have a charisma and a glow and attractiveness that they don't even know they have. They think everybody has it, and they just kind of walk around in a really kind of blessed way.
And Leo,
possibly.
And Leo is like the pride, like in its light. It is the proudest of the lions. It is the leader that we all want to follow. It is the integrity of all Mother Earth. Leo is like, think of the lion, think of the Lion King. It is the noble great leader. Noble expression in its light. Just because you have similar placements, you have a Gemini moon. He does not have a Gemini moon. I can't remember what his moon is right now.
He's a Gemini sun, I believe.
He's a Gemini sun, and he has 4 planets there, and there are some that you definitely don't have. It's like conjunct Uranus, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so what I'm saying is that your chart probably doesn't look anything like his, Alyssa. And also notice how you're noticing those things, and you're willing to admit that maybe you have some qualities and some thought processes that need to be adjusted. He could never admit that he was wrong. And that's part of the problem. Okay. So he's mentally ill and you're healing. There's a huge difference. Okay. Huge. It's huge. And so a chart does not determine someone's mental illness. It determines how their mental illness will be expressed, which is different. Anyone can be mentally ill. Mm-hmm. Anyone can express their chart in a not great way. And the only way we can know for sure is to interact with their energies and then see if they're doing some of the actions in shadow. Is he doing the actions of having a stellium in Gemini and a Mars on Leo rising in shadow? Oh, yeah. Are you? Not necessarily. Okay. Melissa, yeah, astrology has that effect, doesn't it?
I love that about it.
Okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense about the Mars on the ascendant.
Okay, good.
Tracy, you can ask questions if you want. What did you miss? Well, you can just rewatch it later. Okay, makes sense. Mars on the NC, and I'm constantly changing what I think I should be doing for work. Exactly, Samantha. Very normal. Barbara's answering you. Tracy. General discussion and stuff about Trump's chart.
That's great. That's great.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna suggest that you rewatch it, Tracy.
But we're about to do
Tracy, what's up with Aries is that Saturn just moved into there. Okay. Yeah, so let me just make sure. I think we're
Aries, there's a lot up with Aries. The fact that Neptune moved in first, then Saturn moved in. There's a lot of Aries energy right now that it's just going to intensify, because once Saturn enters that sign, it's there for about 2.5 years, depending on retrogrades. Neptune also will be there for years because it's a slow mover too, an outer planet. So Aries has got a lot going on right now. And of course there's Chiron as well. And
I just want to say that this weekend, with Trump's Mars on its ascendant and Jupiter, which is big, huge patriot energy, in a square to Saturn in Aries, it could be a loud weekend, and could be loud in your house. I would ask if you had any Leo placements or Aries placements or Cancer placements. And it could be loud in your house as well, but you could also just be sitting back and watching it all unfold on TV, or it could be in your backyard. But I'm just going to say that I feel like if he was going to do something, he's going to do it now. Just because Mars
this week.
Yeah, just because Mars being where we know it is. Okay. So I just want to say, remember that we chose to be here. So no matter what happens, you guys, what I want to say is, remember, you chose to be here. And the number one question I've been trying to give to people that have been struggling with these politics is, what is your role? What's your role? What did you agree to do when you signed up for this? What did you agree to do? I agreed, apparently, to do an astrology forecast and be queer and not be afraid to talk about the current dictator in charge, the current king, right? So that's my agreement. Clearly, that's my agreement, because that's where I'm at, right? Okay. So what I'm going to say is to ask yourself that question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your role? What are you supposed to be doing? Okay. Alyssa, oh man, it just jumped down to the bottom. Oh, I didn't mean that Leo rising is a bad thing, just very different feeling. It is very different, but I think you're going to step into your power, Alyssa. I think it's actually really good for you, especially from the Pisces perspective, because Pisces, we don't really think of Pisces as leaders. They sometimes end up in a leadership position, but they're not. That's not usually who they are. But Leo is. Holy cow, Leo. You're going to step up. You're going to have to step up. That's probably what's going to happen. He might be a full moon. I have not looked at his chart recently, Nancy. That could be true. I haven't, I just haven't studied. I study it sometimes, and I look at a lot of charts. So, it looks like he is a full moon dude.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, sure is.
He is a full moon dude. And it is a Sagittarius. That is correct. Good job, Nancy. Aries rising. Barbara. Whew, do you know what degree that is? Okay. Thanks, Melissa. She said, I'm so glad you chose this. Yeah. How do we know the answer is right? I assure you, Barbara, you won't come up with the wrong answer. You can find the answer. Sometimes it will be where your north node is, or if there's a strong, like Bright Hawk has a yod, so I would look to her moon because the yod points at her moon. So there's like different alignments in the chart that can sometimes put things at a heavy destiny. But if you have certain things are destined or fated in your chart, that's one way. But I also don't think that you will necessarily, if you truly sit outside or with a tree or with an animal, you sit with something natural and you get quiet and you ask yourself, what is my role? What am I supposed to do here? I think that you'll get the right answer, even if it feels wrong when you did it. Even if it is kind of a mistake, I'm pretty sure you'll learn from that mistake. I don't think it will be wrong. I don't think you would get the wrong answer. That's something that people underestimate about themselves.
Probably.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Great questions, you guys.
Okay. Okay. Good, Barbara. You got a while. 25 degrees. That's good. Because right now
Chiron's at 25,
27 or something like that.
So
yeah.
Chiron probably passed over that spot, which is healing. Chiron is the wounded healer, so it's it's meant to help guide, instruct, inform, help us appreciate. Again, we don't suffer for no reason. So what was that all about? Oh, this is what I learned. I really appreciate the wisdom that I got. But I wouldn't have chosen that. But now I'm on the other side of it. I feel stronger because of it.
Right. All right. And so what we're going to do, so Barbara, you're probably right. I always feel drawn to help people feel better. So it's probably exactly what your role is.
Sounds very Piscean.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take down the Trumpster's chart.
And now, drum roll, please. Hollis will do the amazing look at the chart and do.
I'm trying to decide what aspect I keep putting it off. What aspect is the best one to indicate? Is it best to indicate the Jupiter one?
I would say that that's the most active for this week. So,
and it would apply to people's personal lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much now. It's pretty much today. It just happened today. It just happened like a couple of hours ago. You can see it. It's at 0001.
Just a reminder for what that means. Jupiter rules both Sagittarius and Pisces, which always surprises me. Because in traditional astrology, Jupiter, before we discovered the outer planets with telescopes, Jupiter ruled Pisces. Now, of course, the ruler of Jupiter, Pisces, is Neptune. But what we have is Jupiter rules both Sagittarius, of course. So if you're a Sag, you're feeling this more intensely. And if you're Pisces, you're definitely feeling it as well, and what it means to move into Cancer. So all those, Jupiter moved into Cancer, right? Which means they're answering to the moon. So if you're a Cancer, you're feeling it. So those are the light up the chart. Regardless of what your sign is, those are the ones who are going to feel it the most intensely.
So I'm going to do it for today, tomorrow, and the next day. This is Jupiter in Cancer movement. It's traveling with Mercury, so it could have a lot to do. And the first one will be for Aries. Let me give it a little share here. So this is very much going to be about for Aries. We're going to start with Aries. Okay. And Aries, first of all, let me just say you got a lot going on, Aries.
Oh, man.
Man, Saturn just entered there, Neptune entered there. If you feel like all of a sudden you're being picked on, yeah, you are. And so I just want to validate that. Just want to validate that for you. Especially when the planets first move in. If you have something at early degrees, Aries, then this it's just going to be a little rough for like this year, next year, but then it will pass. And then because Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries for a few years. Saturn is just a couple of years. Neptune is like 18 years, I think, or 14 years. And so, but once they move off of your early degree planets or placements, you'll start to feel better. So it really depends on if you have something at like 1 degree or 2 degree, 0 degree, 3 degrees, something within the first 5 degrees of Aries, that will matter. If you have something at the late degree of Pisces, I want to say that also for everybody, that will feel like a release. You'll probably feel like it's finally, okay. Okay, I think I got through that. Okay. So, particularly this week, Aries, you're probably going to be feeling some stuff about where you live, what community you're in, and possibly what country you live in, or what neighborhood or what state you live in. And all of that's going to become very important. It is going to become so important and so intense for you. You could be feeling a lot of intense energy about what you expect to be at home, how you expect it to be. And it could be very good stuff coming out of you. It could be very necessary to be expressed. And it will be very important things that must be said. And that's going to be today and tomorrow. And you just might have some things that need to be said, and that's okay. And I just want to say, take a pause. And as we mentioned, this of course could manifest in our world, and is manifesting in our world right now, which is the riots in California. Okay. But the thing about Cancer, Jupiter's moving into Cancer with Mercury, is that Cancer is about your home. And so while in some ways that means the house you live in, it also means the neighborhood you live in, the state you live in, the country you live in, the world you live in. What is my home? So there could be some loud energy about our homes, where we live and what we want it to look like, be like, and run like. And that's going to be really intense, particularly for Aries.
Yeah.
In your identity, but also like who you are, but also like your home, your community, your house. Because honestly, Jupiter is actually moving through that area. Exactly. The community and your house. So it makes me think, like, if you've been thinking about moving, or you're like, oh my God, I get out of this red state or whatever. Come on. All right. So now's the time. Okay. And so that's for Aries.
Sun, moon, and rising.
Yeah, Aries, sun, moon, and rising. And it could be energetically in your head. It could be emotionally about where you're living. It could also be, are you living in your head? Particularly if you're an Aries moon. Okay. And then for Taurus, this is for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Taurus, you're really going to feel this around money and maybe siblings or community, particularly that kind of area. The thing is that also right now for you, Taurus, is that, Venus has entered your sign. So I'm suspecting it could have a little to do with like money and siblings, or something to do with it could have something to do with the politics happening right now, could affect your money somehow, or maybe, or there's even some blessings that are coming your way. Absolutely could be happening, but you will have to resolve some sort of issue in regards to what is being said. So something will need to be said in order to resolve the issue, particularly in relation to your siblings or your community. Okay, so Taurus, it's really going to have a lot to do with your community, or your your siblings. Okay, now that's for Taurus. And now we got Gemini. This is for Gemini sun, moon, and rising. So this is going to have a lot to do with money, Gemini. Oh boy, something might need to be said about money or regarding money. Okay, and with Jupiter and Mercury traveling through Cancer, it could have a lot to do with where you're living or how you're living, okay? And it could have a lot to do with, like, maybe your landlord or maybe somebody like that, okay? So Gemini, hang in there. Make sure you say what needs to be said. Try to be as clear as you possibly can. It can sometimes be a little bit hard when the planet is in the sign next to you, which is Cancer. So, so for Gemini, Mercury's in the sign next to you. So it could kind of feel like it's hard to reach those words, which is kind of unusual for you, Gemini. So, it's like, why am I having a hard time finding those words? And so I just want to say, take your time, take some time to breathe and really try to feel into it. Try to make the decisions one at a time regarding your home. And I know that money will have a lot to do with it. And I'm just going to suggest that you do your best to navigate that. Take your time, take a breather, and listen. Take that moment to really sit with your heart and really ask what needs to be done in the situation, what needs to be said, or how can I say this? How can I say that? How can I speak my truth? How can I say what really needs to be said, especially in regards to money or values? Okay. All right. So that was for Gemini, and this is for Cancer. This is for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Cancer, this is really going to be about your home. You're really going to have something to say about home and what it means to you. It could be absolutely positive, but there could be something about career. Maybe you're being asked to work too much, or maybe you want to work from home, or there's something about home and work that will need to be talked about and worked out for you. And this is really important for you. Cancer, because work is very important to you. You've worked really hard to be where you are. And it could take some communication. It will just have something to do with work, with you and work, and who you are and your identity and how you live in your home and how you live your day-to-day life and, those kinds of things. Okay, Cancer? I think you got this, though. Just take your time and listen. Now, this is for Leo. This is for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Leo, this is going to have tons to do with the people that have power over you. And sometimes you may not even see where it's coming from. It could actually be coming from like hospitals or institutions or unseen places. And all of a sudden maybe you said something, did something, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So just suck it up and do the right thing, Leo, and, just apologize or whatever you need to do. That's my suggestion, is because they're probably going to say something that they didn't mean to say. And so the best thing to do is to just apologize. And that could be coming from the unseen. And it might be that you have to say that and then even apologize for it because it needed to be said and you needed to apologize for it. Maybe that whole process has more meaning than you think. Okay. So now the next is for Virgo. This is Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And Virgo, this will have tons to do with the people that have power over you in particular, like your bosses, your friends, or people that have influence over you. Make sure that you're listening. but you might have something to say to your friends, or you might have some sort of conversation with your friends, or struggle with that, Virgo, somehow. There could be something to do, maybe with how you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling kind of agitated or on edge with all this Aries energy. And you just might need some changes. Just try to find what you want to say and then try to say it in the nicest way possible. Okay? And so that's
Virgo.
that's for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And next we've got Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Now this is going to have a whole lot to do with career for you. Okay, so Libra, this has tons to do with your career and what you have to offer the world. Keep your mind open about what that is. You might say something that you're surprised to hear that someone else hears, and could be good, or you might be like, oh, I can't believe I said that in front of them. My boss just overheard that I'm looking for a new job or something like that. But just know that whatever it is meant to happen, and just stay open to whatever's coming to you, because, Jupiter's at the top of the sky for you in regards to, and Jupiter's usually pretty good. So remember that while this is a hard transit, Jupiter is usually good. So it usually is leading you in a good place, a good direction. Okay. But Libra, this has something to do with your career and your work in the world, or whatever you offer the world. Okay. And then we have Scorpio. This is for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Scorpio, this is going to have everything to do with higher learning, the law, spirituality, any kind of spiritual awakeness or higher learning of any kind. So that's like college or any kind of like continuing education stuff. That will very much, there could be some communication about that, or some sort of thing that is coming into challenge in relation to maybe your creativity, or maybe some children or something like that. Or maybe you just want to have fun. Something like that could be challenging you. And maybe you just need to speak your truth and say what you need to say. With Jupiter conjunct Mercury, it can become just kind of loud, and you might just come out and say whatever it is. Whatever it is that needs to be said, you might just kind of come out with it anyway. Okay, Scorpio, because you have a tendency with that, with words anyway. Okay, next is Sagittarius. This is for Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Sagittarius, this is going to have a lot to do with how you're feeling inside, other people's money, maybe death, or any other topics that could be a little on the taboo side. Okay. And with Mercury there, you might just say something that tends to kind of maybe intensify that area of your life, push through that, Sagittarius. Just try to do whatever you can. It's probably going to be at home or about your house, or, you could have a big passionate explosion about maybe you're an extreme patriot or something. Totally see that for Sagittarius. And this could be a little bit of a driving point, and you might say some things that could be difficult, but just be careful. But Jupiter is a benefit planet. So wherever it leads you, just know that eventually it will turn good. And sometimes difficult things turn out to be good. It happens all the time. Now, this is Sagittarius. Now we're moving on to Capricorn. This is for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. And for you, Capricorn, this is going to have a whole lot to do with relationships, and the relationships that you're in and the people you're in relationship with. Okay. And it's not just love relationships, but certainly includes those. It would also include partnerships, or like people you work with, or any of those kinds of things. This is going to affect relationships. There might be some things that you're saying, maybe in regards to siblings or your community or where you're, like your neighborhood. It could absolutely have stuff to do with patriotism, where you say Donald Trump sucks, and you're surprised to find out that and you were holding back because you've been trying not to enter into a fight with your neighbor about Trump, and then he all of a sudden admits that Donald Trump has let him down. Okay, so something like that could absolutely happen on this day, where people are expressing their true patriotism, their true heart, and it being like, we have to get over it. We have to push through something in order to get there. That could absolutely happen. And it's exactly what I just got for Capricorn just now. Okay. So that's for Capricorn. And now this is for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Sorry. Did I say Pisces? Yeah. Okay. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And this will very much be about your creativity. Okay. And maybe your day-to-day life, Aquarius, but I think it will affect your creativity more than anything, or possibly your children, or how you like to have fun. And so Aquarius, and you know what? Pluto's been going in and out of your chart, and now it's retrograde, but maybe you finally are having a little bit of a calm moment right now, but you might notice that something might need to be said in regards to values or money, in relationship with creativity, or what you like to do for fun, or how you like to have fun, or your children, or children in your life. It doesn't have to be your children. It could just be children. Okay. So that would be that something will need to be said. It will be good. Remember. So always remember that this transit that I'm talking about, that's happening today, tomorrow, and for this early Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in particular, is a good transit. It's going to bring something good. It just might feel challenging in the moment, but then shift where you recognize where it was leading you, and that was a good thing. Okay, Aquarius. And now we're going to move on to the last one, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Pisces. Oh, well, Pisces, you thought you were getting out. You thought it was going to be, no. Pisces has had a lot of release energy, especially the North Node is still there, pushing you towards your destiny. You know which direction you're headed, but you've had a little bit of pressure release with those planets leaving Pisces, right? You feel a little bit of like a right? But for Pisces, this is really going to have something to do with your home. This is going to have a lot to do with your home and your identity, and what needs to be said and what needs to be handled. And so I would just take it one step at a time. Make sure you say what you need to say, Pisces. I know sometimes you won't say things to keep the peace, and while that's okay, that can lead to resentment. So I want you to just go ahead and find a way to say your truth. And I want you to trust Jupiter to help you with it. Okay? Because if you trust that Jupiter will help you with it and you follow your belief systems, I think it will turn out good, especially if you take a little time to craft what you're going to say. Okay? Remember, Jupiter is leading this transit this week, early this week. Yeah, the reason Samantha, she says, this is looking very word vomity for me. Samantha, that's because Mercury is involved, and Mercury rules our communication. It rules communication. It rules your like transportation and the internet, like technology, because this is how we communicate, right? That's why it tends to rule that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to pull a couple of cards for you guys from the Love is Love deck.
It's always fun to see what the tarot says and how frequently it reflects exactly what's going on in the stars. So it's always another interesting way to add some perspective to the week.
Yeah.
Hollis draws 3 cards, one for the past, one for the present, and one for the future.
So, this is a basic 3-card spread by the Love is Love deck. It's a pride deck that you can find online, and you can find it in all kinds of places. We've seen it in the Body Blind Spirit Expo. Okay, I was like using the cards, and I'm like, in fact, this deck is right over there for sale. Okay, so this is a really cool deck because each one of the cards is done by a different LGBTQ artist, and I really honor that, being a Libra moon. Okay, and so the first is about our past, which is the King of Cups, and this very much has to do with what have we been thinking about? What's been on our mind? What have we been emotionally processing? What kind of emotional processes have been going on for us? And have we been handling those thoughts very well? How have we been working with those thoughts? And this is very much, this card is very much about thinking about your thoughts and your emotions and how the two are connected. And this is the King of Cups. So it usually indicates that it's a masterful person that can really manage their thoughts and their emotions. But sometimes I feel like the sailboat can get caught in a storm. So just, but for the most part, this is to make us think about our emotions and our thoughts together. Okay. And how they affect each other, because they definitely do. And now the 7 of Cups, this is the here and now. And remember what I said at the earlier in the show, and I said, make sure you're asking yourself, what is my role? Well, that's exactly what the 7 of Cups is. It is about choosing a color of the rainbow. It is like, okay, which one will you choose? There's no wrong answer here. Just pick one. Okay. And so it is the 7 of Cups. And that's what the 7 of Cups is usually about. It's an emotional choice. It is not easy. And with all this Cancer energy and Aries, we could be boiling over. But the universe needs you to make a choice. What is your role? And that's really what this card is about. And then going forward, I love this card. It's like one of my favorite ones because this is the 3 of Cups, and this is how we come together beyond our one-on-one love relationships and stuff like that. Beyond that, this is the transgender people being celebrated in the role that we in history have often ended up in, which is like marrying couples and bringing couples together. And that's why there's a transgender person at the front of this card standing in front of those cups, because the transgender person in many tribes and in history has been known to do the marrying before, we were a target of some politician. But it is very much about celebrating all the roles in life, all the ways that we love each other, all the ways that we come together, and in those smaller groups. This is meant, especially if there's groups of 3 or 30 or 33, when the number 3 is involved, this is very much speaking to this card. And this is very much about how we come together as a group and how we can celebrate each other and how we can help each other. And that's very much what this is about. And that's in our future. So, so remember, how have your thoughts and your emotions been tied together? They're almost inseparable, actually, because if you take the boat out of the water, it's useless. And water is in and part of all of who we are, all of us. And so as we're going forward, remember how thoughts and emotions are tied together. And as you're making your choice about your role, just make sure you do what you're going to do. And as we're going forward, hold close to those that you love that are closest to you. Groups of 3 are particularly powerful and magical. and make sure that we're celebrating the best of all of us.
Wow. See, the tarot always reflects the astrology in such interesting ways. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, so wow, we've gone a really long time, but
Yeah, we really did. We went extra long, but we hadn't been here for a few weeks, so it felt like there was really important ground to cover.
Yeah, and we did have Saturn move into Aries, and
Big stuff. Big stuff. You
it's
know,
like this is like the biggest part of 2025 right now. It's like
Right.
these couple of months.
Neptune moved into Aries, then Saturn moved into Aries, then Jupiter moved out of Gemini into Pisces, into Cancer. Big stuff.
Uranus is
And
about to move into Gemini.
And the next one will be Uranus, yeah?
Yeah.
So, whoo, good to be on the ride with you. Hope you enjoyed what we have shared. What did she say?
Alyssa said precise for all three of my kiddos and myself too.
Oh, good.
That's
Hollis is
beautiful.
amazing.
Beautiful, Alyssa.
I quite agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, you guys. Well, I hope that you
Did
enjoy
download
this.
the new outro? Yeah. Okay.
I did the intro.
The
I don't.
outro's right there. It's the same spot.
Okay. Hold on a second. So if you noticed, we're trying to sort of update our stuff because Lacrosse stepped back. There's no hard feelings or anything. He just wanted to do something else. He just wants to put his energy elsewhere.
I think they're working on a book.
Yeah, they're actually
They've been
working on a
wanting
book
to do for a really long time.
So and plus
both
they have
of us know what it's like and how much effort it takes to actually get to the finish line on publishing. So
well, and then
Best
plus they have
wishes.
a brand new grandchild. So
which
you
yeah,
know,
whew,
so
life's
it's-
full.
and I think they're spending a lot of time with them. So, okay. So in that process, we are redoing all of our stuff, and Bright Hawk made a new opening, and now we have a new out. So, you know, I'm just trying to get that up. So I'm just stalling right now.
Hoping that you all have a great week and that you've enjoyed the fact that we're back. We'll always try to be here on Mondays at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, whatever time that is for you. Again, if you subscribe, it really helps you get notifications to know when we're live. And we love interacting with you. So thank you so much, each and every one of you, for all your great questions and comments. And
we love interacting with you. And we're thinking about maybe starting a Patreon of some sort. Maybe what would you think about having an interactive like Zoom party that came with a Patreon membership where you actually got to come in, show us your chart, ask questions, and maybe for it to be like kind of like a question and answer private just for our Patreon members is kind of like what I was thinking.
yeah,
something like that.
We're
So
thinking about those things. And if that sounds like something that'd be fun for you, let us know.
yeah, let us know any ideas you might have. I'm still waiting.
Of course, we're waiting for it to upload and probably broadcasting and doing this at the same time.
Right,
It's probably a lot of
exactly.
bandwidth.
You're welcome, Melissa. I hope you and your kids weather I think you're gonna weather it just fine, Alyssa. You'll come out the other side a shiny, beautiful golden stone. You're welcome, Barbara. Yeah, Patreon, Alyssa, is like this artist platform where we can't always like pay artists what they would be worth or whatever, but it's like a way of helping artists make the money that they want or need to do what they're doing. And we don't make any money from this broadcast at all. Sometimes I get a reading, but that costs another hour, right? So then I'm being paid for the reading. But we don't actually get paid for this broadcast. And that's okay. But in order for us to like kind of, it depends. I get to set the cost, Barbara. And then what happens is I could say, okay, well, if you're going to be a Patreon member for me, for us, you're going to pay $11, and it's $11 a month. And every month members get this, and this. And that's kind of how Patreon works. So, it's an
more
excellent
direct interaction and support of the artist creating the content.
Yeah, some people really love it because they get access to like the artist or the person that's creating things. or they get some sort of special treatment or something like that. And so that's usually what it's based on, Barbara. Okay.
Thanks, Annie.
And okay. Oh, here we go. All right, everyone.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies and ready to work with them in your daily life. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need to hear it. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment, let us know what resonated most or what you would like covered next week. Your questions and feedback make our show better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! And catch us on Facebook and YouTube, where you can ask questions in real time and be part of our cosmic community as it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition, follow your inner wisdom, and remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.